They're 6 games under 500 and gaining ground on the 4th place Philadelphia Phillies. But the Phillies won last night to kind of keep them at bay at 6.5 games. But certainly 2-1 is not the way you want to win a game in the final frame. Top of the 9th, 2 outs down to your last strike. And is he still 20 or is he 21 yet, Alvarez?
I think he just turned 21.
Okay, so the youngster, I love his game. I love his enthusiasm. He hits an Oppo home run off of the Diamondbacks closer to tie the game.
Which, by the way, he looks a lot like Rod Beck. Chafin.
Oh, yeah.
Seen this dude?
Chafin.
Great stash, great mullet. Bad outside
Arizona's
fastball.
a throwback to like the 90s.
They are.
They a lot of their players. I mean, even Corbin Carroll, center fielder, just looks like Brett Butler, a little bit bigger and stronger.
Well, he needed about 2 steps faster last night as Can of Corn puts one over his head after that Alvarez home run to drive in the eventual winning run. Again, you're talking Beatty got the single, and this is all 2 outs, by the way. Alvarez, the rookie, he gets the home run. 2-out single, stay alive, Beatty on first, and a shot over one of the fastest guy in baseball's heads by Canna, and that's how the Mets end up winning that ballgame. Great game, great inning for the New York Mets. Great inning.
No, and listen, Senga pitched his butt off, and he deserved the win, and that's the bottom line. When you look at how well some of these guys are playing, and pitching and doing everything they possibly can, that's one of the guys that was money well spent. That guy has done what he's supposed to do in the rotation. Scherzer is trying to do everything he can in the rotation, but as we've talked about, some of these bullpens are what's crushing some of these teams. And the fact that you put so much pressure on them, but to go 8 innings to be Senga yesterday, oh my God, the way that they portrayed it to be miraculous just shows you how far we've fallen into the, hey, if you could get us 15 or 18 outs, meaning 6 innings, oh my God, you're a workhorse. But Jesus, if you go 8 innings, it's almost a miraculous performance. I don't see it that way. I don't want to see Senga that way. I think this guy's capable of doing 7 or 8 innings every time he goes out there. It's just we are now programmed, and we won't allow it. We just won't allow you to break that 6 innings or 7 innings seal and get it to the bullpen earlier is the format. And in some of these situations, it's failing these teams.
Yeah. I was surprised. I think I'm getting conditioned. When I see 8 innings, it's like, yeah, all right. A guy's going somewhat deep. I love complete games. I think that is a cool experience. Now it's even more so than what it has been in the past. And it's just rare. When you look at CGs and just line that up, and by how many and who's got the lead, it'll be either 1 or 2. By the end of the year, it'll be either 1 or 2. And back in the day, man, it used to be like 10. Even more than that, way back in the day when you talk about the old timers. But still, like now, you're right. Everybody's conditioned to, me included, you see 7+, and you're like, wow, that guy really had a great night.
Well, and listen, they're programmed to, there's a red flag when a guy gets a certain amount of pitches. With Senga, I guess 95 to 100 is his limit because we're trying to get him to pitch once every 5 days. He used to pitch once every 7 days in Japan. He threw 107 pitches with 12 Ks. That is phenomenal. It's economical, and it was fantastic. That's a great outing. 1 walk, the 1 run, 4 hits to get you 24 outs. But I go back and I just look at some of his other outings. He's nibbling and nibbling and nibbling. He is striking out a few guys because he's got that what do they call it? The ghost fork ball. The ghost fork. But his last outing, 15 outs, 102 pitches. He gets 16 outs for 102 pitches. He gets almost to the 7th inning on 99 pitches and 8 strikeouts. So it's not his fault that they're scared when he gets around that number because he's getting around that number too quick in the game. meaning by the 5th or 6th inning, this guy's at 90-plus pitches, and that's why they get nervous. So when he was in the 7th inning in the 90s and pitches, they were like, hey, we're comfortable with this. And at 107 pitches, he gets 24 outs, and he's around for the win because they score, and he's the pitcher of record in the top of the 9th inning on the road. But, yeah, you are right about the closer for the D-backs. He looks exactly like Rod Beck, only throws left-handed.
Man, it is crazy.
Wow.
It is crazy. I like that 90s comparison, too. They are a throwback team. The Marlins lucked out and got a win over the Cardinals when they really shouldn't have. There was a horrible pitching mistake, not on the mound, but in the field. You always talk about pitchers never taking infield anymore.
Nobody takes infield anymore.
Hicks.
So I think it affects the pitchers as much as anybody, because, and not to digress to me again, but when I got called up to the major leagues, Pete Rose was so anal retentive about infield. We actually had 3 guys would be on a chart every day. Like when the lineup card came out, the chart was pitchers backing up bases during infield. And we did this almost every home game. Your name would come up. You had to go out there, just like spring training, and back up bases just to kind of get a refresher course.
Right.
And mostly it was relievers because, the starters aren't going to do that crap. They're too highbrow for that back in the 80s and 90s. So a lot of it was necessary. But I didn't mind. It was like, listen, I'm in the major leagues. This is my job. What I'm going to tell Pete Rose, hey, go pound sand. I'm not backing up bases. But today, I'm telling you, your agent would call the front office, call the general manager, bust his chops, and so they'd be there and Boone be like, okay, I guess we're not backing up bases anymore. Now we're to the point we're not even doing infield anymore.
Well, I wonder how the analytic department looked at this one for the St. Louis Cardinals. They were up a run, 9-8. Jordan Hicks on the mound trying to close the door and gets a dribbler to his...
throws 105.
And he threw it about 106 over the head of the first baseman that brought in 1 run, brought in 2 runs, 10-9 final. Thanks for coming, Marlins win.
This is one of my biggest fears as a player, where even on a throw over, when there was a runner on first, I would lob the ball. Because my brain was built for one speed, and I certainly wasn't going to throw a 90, 95 mile an hour fastball to first and then have it go on the right field line, which is what happened here. And a guy gets to third, or even worse, scores, right? So in Pete Rose, in his mind, he's like, no, you're going to throw it over hard, and my guy's going to catch it. He brought me on a backfield, and I went through 2 or 3 buckets of balls of me from the stretch, throwing over as hard as I could to break me of that bad habit, because he hated it. I would literally stop and throw like a hand grenade throw to first base, and he was like, what is that? I'm like, well, I'm not throwing it down the line, Skip. He's like, no, you're going to throw it hard, and he broke me.
Well, John Lester never could.
Oh, my God, there's so many guys don't want to do it, but you have to.
I know a lot of softball ladies that don't know about, like, they've been pitching underhand and they can throw heat underhand.
They can't throw it overhand.
They've never done it, and it's so weird for them in their head. It's just a yip kind of thing.
Yeah, you call it a yip. I call it a brain cramp, because my brain doesn't want to do it. My brain is thinking, here's the negative part of it, which you can't as an athlete. But my negative part is I'm going to quick step throw over to first, and it's going to go down the right field line. And, that guy, if it was like Vince Coleman or Ozzie Smith or Ricky Henderson or one of these guys that's a speed, he's easily standing on third base. And I put him there.
Yeah.
I don't want it. My job was to save outs, save runs from scoring, so I wasn't programmed that way.
Well, Jordan Hicks, I bet he's sick to himself because he doesn't do that often. And, man, it's just, it's St. Louis.
Listen, you brought up Gunnar Henderson. All of these guys, nobody thinks they're going to throw the ball away. How about when Steve Sachs had a phobia? Yeah. Mackie Sasser couldn't throw it to second base. Then it was Chuck Knobloch that couldn't do it. There might have been a little involved, but, that's a whole different story.
Even with that, though, he's one of the best. So.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Should be able to do it still. The report is that Mike Trout will miss 4 to 8.
What did I tell you? I told you a month as soon as it happened. Because a month to heal, then he's got to start swinging a bat again. Then he's got to go on some kind of rehab thing. And then, so it's probably 8 weeks before we see Mike Trout again. And by that time, Shohei's not an angel anymore.
Bad timing. And this, I think this is all in Artie Moreno's hands. Like, what do you want to do, man? What do you want to do?
You should have put like Trout out of water.
Put Trout out?
Trout out of water.
No, I get you. Because of the fish.
Fish out of water.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal,
It's
man.
a big deal in the whole, like, for the Angels, whatever. I could care less. I'm sure Angel fans are going crazy. The whole big picture, and it all revolves around Shohei. As much as Mike Trout is who he is, it all revolves around Shohei. And this injury is just bad timing.
Well, I wasn't able to get the information. I don't remember through like 86, 87 games, how many home runs did Judge have last year? So with Shohei where he is, they're already saying they think he can break the record. But now you have no Trout in the lineup, no Rendon. Is it so? For you, if you want to put butts in the seats or even make the playoffs and win a championship and you trade for Shohei and you have the possibility of signing him for like $500,000, $500 million, $500 million. But at the same time, hey, man, this guy could hit 63 home runs this year for us.
Yeah.
That would be a hell of an August and September in a stadium near you. Could be the Dodgers, could be the Cubs, could be anybody. I mean, geez, could you imagine him hitting it at Wrigley?
Yeah.
He'd tap a ball for a home run.
He would. I just think that this guy, no matter if he's chasing home runs or what, is that kind of sideshow that people are going to watch this guy play baseball.
But he's a great freak.
Regardless if he's coming up on any kind of statistic. I'm trying to get this 2022 season here for Judgers. Gosh, I was all over this on Judge versus
I know you were,
Babe
and
Ruth.
I didn't mean to throw you a curve, but I just think it's interesting to see last year's splits on this guy and what he had at the All-Star break. So let me get it real quick. Of course, it's not going to give it to me now. Let's just say April, May, June, July. He had 24, 30. Let's see. He had 24, 34. He had 42 home runs by the All-Star break last year. August and September, he only hit 19. He hit 1 in October.
Right.
So he hit 20 after 42 in the first half of the season.
Well, the thing with Shohei, too, he just came off one of the best months in baseball, perhaps in the history of the game, when you throw in the stats.
I remember, now going back to Sosa, didn't Sosa hit 20 in one of those months where he hit 66? Yeah, he hit 20 home runs in 1 month.
I remember he had 5 in a series at Colorado, and that started the whole in Colorado talk. And, but this guy can get hot just as much as any of those names that you just thrown out there. Like
again, where the Angels play is not a great hitter's park. You got to hit it a ton, and he does.
But that's not Artie Moreno's problem.
That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is even the Texas Rangers, this guy has the means to put him in a Texas uniform. The Dodgers have the means to do that. The Yankees, the Red Sox, Mets. Do you want to take that risk? What are you going to have to give up for this guy?
Exactly.
To get him in your uniform? And at the same time, what if this dude hits 63? Now, if he goes to the National League, it's a moot point. But if he stays in the American League, let's say he goes to the Rangers, now all of a sudden August comes around and he's got 50. And you're like, it's August 15th, he's got 50 home runs, he needs 13 more by the end of the season. That makes it interesting. It might not happen, but what I'm saying is this is the drama part, and you know how we all love the story and drama.
Well, I think, I'm on the case where 62 is the record. So if he goes to the American League, for me, a 63 home run season is going to be just as spectacular as what Aaron Judge did last year.
Absolutely. Maybe even more so because he doesn't have the protection that Judge had in the although Judge last year didn't have great protection. I don't want to take that away from the man. Stanton totally wasn't doing squat, Donaldson, those guys, Torres. Again, hitting in the 2 spot.
Gosh, I'm watching some of these home run replays from 2022. Boy, the Yankees missed that.
That was good for business, wasn't it?
Yeah, for wins.
Well, wins. We'll put butts in the seats. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do Dibbles and Bits next on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Kirk Kaplan on the ones and twos. Nick and John on our video stream. We'll be right back.